What's going on, everybody? It is Coach Jan. Welcome to Tai Chi to the People, Justice for Hire. Justice for Hire, of course, is a cinematic universe that you can join. Anybody can join, become part of the cast. We're building a show, producing a show with the community, and we do this every week. And it is my pleasure and honor to do this with everybody who either shows up to the live sessions or watches on YouTube. And we are building quite a portfolio of training sessions. Today, we're going to continue with our wonderful Negong exercises. And I got an amazing compliment last week from one of my students who has trained Tai Chi for the last like 20, 30 years or something like that. And she's a student of mine from New York. And Mark, what's going on? Mark, Mark's here. She's a student of mine from New York, and she said that for the first time in her life, she felt the chi in her hands. And I often say that I don't talk too much about chi when it comes to the sport of Tai Chi push hands, because I think that there is a misunderstanding, especially in Western audiences that were not necessarily raised with certain esoteric concepts or spiritual concepts or energy concepts that are just not part of the foundation of American culture in an overt way. So I often leave the concept of chi out of my sports training conversations because there is something more practical than the concept of chi that needs to be addressed before you start to take on the concept of chi. So it's scaffolded learning. You have to learn one thing before you learn the next thing. And oftentimes people are approached with the idea of chi in almost a religious fashion that can be off-putting for many, and essentially block people from learning the exact thing you're trying to share with them. So I don't talk about chi when it comes to the sport. For the sport, you either beat me or you don't. And it's as simple as that. And the bottom line is that to be able to do that, you have to be strong in many different ways. And I've been beaten a lot, and that's the reason I can say that, because it's made me very good. And I will continue to be beaten, but only because I train with really, really great people. And so I always think about that first: practical, performance-based, merit-based achievement. But today we're doing Negong, and the Negong really does help with circulation. It really does help with the Qi. And if you don't do Qigong, and even if you do Shaolin Qigong, for example, this is different. The Shaolin Qigong, as my Sifu would always say, that it's hard. And I understand what he means by that. And essentially saying it's hard, it's external. These are very Chinese martial arts concepts where it may feel like, oh, it's not the same as softening the body and using the breath and visualization as a vehicle for your attention to drive the circulation through your body consciously driving it through. And I will before we start and focus on a very particular Negong exercise, continuing in all the last few weeks of training, doing one exercise deeply, I want to share that I am reading a wonderful book that is talking about the automatic mind and how so many functions in our body were at one point conscious. In other words, we had to consciously digest food. We had to consciously do a bunch of things in the same way that when you learn something new, you have to be conscious of it until it becomes second nature, like brushing your teeth. So riding a bike, driving, etc. So it's really interesting to think about human evolution from the standpoint of we were at one point in a position where the functions of the body were conscious, and now most of the functions of the body are unconscious. That there is still a bridge between controlling functions of the body consciously or just allowing it to remain automatic and unconscious. So as we work on these Negong exercises and we slow ourselves down to speed up our perception, I want to offer this little idea to creatively brainstorm around of what things in your body, what things in your life even that are unconsciously happening that you are aware of, but you don't put too much thought into, that you could essentially give more attention to and potentially adjust the outcome that you're currently getting to a more desirable outcome. So it's a really, really interesting book. It is called A Manual of Self-Healing. And it's my mom is very, very good at recommending great books. So with that said, we're going to focus on exercise number 7, I think it is, of the yin set of Neigong. And I'm going to just clean the screen a little bit. It looks like there's something on it, and maybe not. But the yin set of Neigong, exercise number 7. So we're going to do this now. And this is from the Wu style of Tai Chi. And this is called snapping the whip left and right. So of course, before we jump into this, we want to just get warm. And if you are interested in the concept of qi, the feeling of qi, where you should feel it in your body first, or where it's common to feel it first, it is the palms. It's on the forearms, a sticking, tingling sensation on the forearms, and in the lower back area, sticking to the muscles. The sensation should be that of something tingling and sticking to you. Again, my student who's trained for several years, never felt it before, and she's just started doing the Neigong more rigorously with me and on her own, and she's starting to feel it. So these are very particular exercises that were considered inner circle teachings, and I think it's really important to share them so that they're no longer inner circle, so everybody can get a chance to feel this stuff. So palm facing down, feet shoulder length apart and parallel, mouth closed, tongue sealing the mouth, inhaling with your mouth closed through the nose into the belly, the lower down chin. Exhale, push that color down the arms, giving the sensation of the breath, a visualization. So you see the breath, see, feel, and experience it. Going into the lower dantian, which is 3 finger lengths below your belly button. Exhale, push that color from the belly up, down the arms to the palms and fingertips, about 1 inch or 2 beyond, with special attention on the middle finger of each hand. This is called Gilded Pillar. This posture. Imaginary string lifts you from the top of the head, and once you get that little lift, you want to give yourself the sensation. Again, consciously giving yourself sensations of relaxation, cascading down the spine, from the top of the spine down, as if the tailbone is going to fall straight down and has a weight on it, so it just drops. Everything melts away, the vertebrae get farther and farther apart. Even the jaw relaxes. Inhaling into the belly. Draw the color in. Exhaling it down. Inhale, draw the color in. Exhaling down. Again, a different comparison to, let's say, some Shaolin Qigong versus what we're doing here. Very, very soft. We're minimizing tension. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Shaolin monks because they do an amazing superhuman work. This is just a different method of getting to a similar destination. Inhaling to the belly. Exhaling, softening through the hands. Inhale, breath lifts the wrists. Exhale, push the color to the palms and fingertips. Inhaling up, draw the color into the belly. I'm only stepping back so you can see. Exhaling down. Knees soften. So as my knees soften, you might even want to allow yourself, you don't have to, but allow the weight to shift to the ball of the foot and the big toe, depending on how often you train with us on here. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Inhaling, breath pulls into the belly. Exhale, wash out. So we're starting to warm the breath up like we're revving an engine. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. And again, the breath is essentially is what we're utilizing to catalyze the circulation. We're going to inhale up. The color visualization pulls into the arms and the belly. Intensify the breathing. The visualization intensifies because the breath is pulling in that much more readily. Stronger inhalation here on part 2 of that inhalation. Exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. Same thing. Stage 1, soft breath. Stage 2, harder breath. Not loud though, just stronger. Exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. If you find yourself speaking aloud or making sounds with your mouth or the breath, just try to soften it more, because again, that's unnecessary tension. You want to minimize the tension and only do what's necessary. Inhaling up, exhale. This is breathing formula 3, inhaling out 1. Stage 2, inhaling even deeper, stronger. 3, strongest. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhale out. Inhaling out. 1, even deeper 2. Even deeper 3. Exhaling down. Now, number 4. 1, deeper 2, deeper 3, deeper 4. 1 big breath, 4 stages. Exhaling down. Exhalation is just as long as the inhalation. Again, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's widen. That was uplifting heaven. Now, warming up with dragon whips its head. Pelvis rotates on the femur. When you first sit in this half horse stance, the tailbone drops straight down. If it's your butt sticking out, drop, lower the, release the tension in the lower back. Don't stick or tuck your pelvis in, because that'll create lots of tension right here and not enough resistance or not enough of the suspension bridge function of the lower back here. So you want to soften, drop down, but not stick out. Just drop the tailbone straight down. Hollow fist, imaginary string goes straight through the hips. And these imaginary strings, these little visual concepts that we will talk about on here, are meant to remain. So the second you create it, it stays. And then you start thinking about other things. The stronger you get with this training, the easier it's going to be to maintain visualizations. There's meditations where you visualize light going from one eye to the other side of your skull, and then the other side, and then through the ears and through the throat, and you maintain those multiple directions the entire time through your meditation. So, but you don't focus on them. They just, the willpower keeps them there. So when you feel this imaginary string go through, there's just the visualization, go right through the hips. So many exercises that we'll do will use this line. You can see it right here. Boom, I'm going right to my hip, coming up, boom, right to the hip and up. I'm going right to the line. There's all these imaginary lines that you're going to cut through and reference for yourself to make your form stronger, more effective, more beautiful, etc. Hollow fist, imaginary line, you rotate, pelvis rotates on the femur on that imaginary line. Almost like you're hanging on a clothesline. So you should feel that imaginary line right here, almost as if it's tucked in. It's coming out through my fingertips here, just because I'm showcasing the point. The imaginary line going right there. And then inhale, breath pulls me up. Rotating up, eyes on the belly button, exhaling down. Inhale, breath pulls me up. The breath should feel like a rope as well as you're climbing. And then release it. Pulling, climbing up a rope, the color gathers in the belly. Exhale, releasing that color slowly but surely. And then reverse it. Again, I'm only doing this with my hands symbolically. That's how the breath should feel. Rolling it in, exhale. And as the pelvis rotates on the femur, it's as if you're laying yourself on that clothesline. Exhaling down. And now, getting finally to it, snapping the whip left and right. To review quickly what we did in the previous exercises, we'll actually do that first, just so you remember. Inhaling up, exhale, washing out, inhale deep, drop the hands down. Inhaling up, exhale, wash out. We're doing this a little bit faster because we want to get right to the training. Inhale, exhale, pelvis rotates in the femur. This is golden tortoise, exercise 1. This is the first exercise of the 12 units that may go. Notice that my back should be flat like a table. So if it's not, I have to lift my collarbone to make sure that my chest is also back flat like a table, chest parallel to the ground. I always want to make those little adjustments. If you could have a mirror, that's great. On my tailbone, I push the butt back. So there's an imaginary string going from the top of the head straight forward and through the spine, straight back. My elbows are near the line of my eyes. Inhale, open the hands, exhale, through. A few breaths here as well, lift the collarbone. Inhale, deep, exhale out. Inhale, deep, exhale out, drop the hands down. Inhaling up, and you're going to go right into embracing the one. Embracing the one, exercise is number 2. Middle finger as high as the shoulders. 6 breaths into the belly, out through the hands, drawing the color visualization in as you inhale through the hands. Exhale, washing it out. And then palms facing up, exercise 3. This is called holding the golden bowl. Palms facing up. Elbows have distance from the rib cage. Tailbone still points down. The breathing pattern goes up the body and down the body. Up one side, down the other. If you learn to breathe up the front and down the back like I have, keep that. Otherwise, do up the back, down the front, which might be a more widely utilized pattern. But inhaling up as if there's a tidal wave rising from the feet to the head, exhaling down from the head to the feet. A few breaths there, and inhale, draw the breath in. The wrists in. Notice when you draw the wrists in, the elbows drop straight down, which is super important, especially when you're doing push hands, to be able to bring the hands back and still protect the ribs without having tension or minimizing tension in the shoulder. So boom, bringing it right in to be able to clamp. Same thing happens here. You train that here. If you're, sometimes in the beginning, you might find there was a little more tension in the shoulders and elbow. You have to drop that out. Inhaling deep, exhale, the hands float down. Floating is the intention. Inhale, drawing just the fingertips, the wrists up here, hold the breath, swallow saliva twice. Exhale, push the wrist into the lower back, massaging down. Inhaling up, right hand over left, hold, swallow twice. Second, as you're holding your breath, that second saliva, visualize it going all the way down, like a droplet of water falling into a pond. It's right here in the lower dantian. When it makes impact and creates the ripples are like an explosion, and it starts the inhalation. 1, 2. This is exercise. All the other ones were transitions to this exercise. Jade rabbit watches the moon. Exercise number 4. Now to exercise 5. White crane spreads his talons. Gentle grabbing, elbows down, relax, which relaxes the shoulder. Massage the temples. Exhale, forward, in and up. Gentle grab, pulling in. Massage the temples. Exhale, forward and up. Inhale deep. Exhale, forward in and up. You can stay seated. And bring the breath in, the wrists in. Again, the elbows stay down. Exhale down. And now number 6, which we did last week. Clever cat catches the mouse. Inhaling up 1, so the hands are crossed. 2, energize the fingers. 3, pull apart. Eye on the middle finger of the right hand. 4, show the claws. The fingers should feel like they're going through a waterfall. Capture. Hands 45 degrees facing each other, not flat out and not flat facing each other. 45 degrees, exhaling down. Inhaling up 1, right over left. 2, energize fingers. 3, pull apart. Eye in the middle finger. 4. 1 more. Nice. Revving up the engine, the lower dantian. And now, Number 7, snapping the whip left and right. Look how my elbow just dropped down. So the breath pulls up the wrists, and one hand, left hand, starts on the belly, the lower dantian. Right hand is on the chest. This was the exercise that I would always find I would feel the chi the most in the beginning when I was a teenager and I first started doing these particular exercises. So, and that's because the visualization is in your lower dantian already. All these other exercises that we just did have been preparing you and revving up the engine here. So you have this warmth, and you want to be really conscious of the warmth with the hand that's on it, with the left hand. And you're going to alternate hands. And anytime the hand is on there, you want to be really conscious of it. To the extent that you feel the breath visualization go from the belly and push up, pushing up inside the body through the arm as you exhale through the wrist. Not through the hand, but through the wrist. So your breath work is here. You're pushing the visualization and the breath work to the wrist in a similar way that you would do a crane strike here to the chin. Or a lot of times in Tai Chi push hands, you'll find, and if you watch my No BS Tai Chi 2, which just came out yesterday, you'll see that there's a freestyle push hands moment where I'm playing with another player, and you'll see the back of my hand go up, and I'll do this push. And I didn't expect it. It was surprising to me to see it in slow motion, but it's so from the form. And it's just a very gentle press and lift up the chest, and so that you can reveal the push underneath. But here, you want to be able to feel the strength and sensitivity of the hand, but lead with the wrist and the eyes on the middle finger. So feel right here. Notice that the alignment is wrist to shoulder. So it's a straight line, wrist to shoulder. Again, wrist to shoulder, straight line. My middle finger is about as high as, well, you maintain that line first, and my eyes are looking directly at that middle finger. But my breath work, my visualization, again, difference between where your eyes are looking and where the visualization is. I can look to my left, but have my visualization to my right. So I'm imagining and exhaling through my right hand as I look to my left. So here, it's less of a stark difference. Breathing to the wrist, eye on the middle finger. And then you're going to wave the hands. And you can do either direction. Of course, from inside to out is very realistic of going against the thumb of somebody who has their opposite hand on you. So I have to grip with this hand. I grab, rather than going against all the fingers, I go against the single finger, the thumb, and I go on top to get wrist control. So this is very much a wrist control, but you can also do the opposite way, and both matter. So whether you do one or the other, I recommend being organized in your own mind and saying, I'll do the first 5, maybe like this. So we'll go from outside to in, drawing the breath up now, inhaling. As you inhale through the soft part of the arm into the belly, as the hand floats down, the other hand's going to slide up to the heart. And now you will change the hands, exhaling from the belly through the wrist. Breath is on the wrist, eyes on the middle finger. The palm faces the heart. There's a variation where you can do this as well, putting the palm out. But for today, we'll stay very focused on this particular version of the exercise because this is a very common position, or should I say, this is a more uncommon position that people commonly get into. I'll choose better language. This is a position that you are often in, that people are often not conscious of, and therefore they can't take control, conscious advantage. They can't take control of the conscious advantage of this position when it's on someone's body. So you want to, I highly recommend doing this over the palm because the palm is a very common martial arts position. Almost every martial arts style has an open palm. As a matter of fact, some would say that true Kung Fu is this, not this, from a philosophy standpoint. So open palm, palm facing, showing, look at the palm like a mirror, showing it, very, very common. This is less common, and this requires more expertise, greater sense of expertise. So let's focus here. from outside to in, inhaling, drawing the breath through the lead hand. The other hand is coming up at the same time, exhaling out. If you'd like, you can stand while doing this. Inhaling up, exhaling out. Inhale, drawing the color visualization in through the elongated hand. Exhale, pushing it out from the short hand, which is now being elongated. And it's called snapping the whip or cracking the whip left and right. So the alignment, you actually have three lines that create two lanes, depending on how you look. You have your center line awareness that we've already established with the middle, the imaginary string from the top of the head. And now you deviate from that line, from here to here, which is aligned with the shoulders. There'll be many times in the Tai Chi form as well, in the Wu style Tai Chi form, where you'll align with shoulder very intentionally, meaning that you'll go from center line to line with shoulder, center line here, line on shoulder. This is just an example. And then I move down to now I'm on the line of this shoulder and I'm in my center line here, even if my body's twisted. To put it a little bit more plainly, from 1 to 2, here, go. Other side, 1, 2. So align with the shoulder, align with the center line of the heart. So being able to really have a sense of those lines and to move from one to the other and then change levels. These are all little details. Inhaling up. I'm going to do the majority of this exercise seated. And let's talk about the visualization a bit more. As you inhale, again, feeling it in the belly, it fills up, and consciously feel the belly deflate. Draw the color in. Exhale. Feel the belly deflate, and feel as if you've turned the hose on, and you can feel the liquid going through the hose, shooting from the belly through the arm, pushing out. Inhaling, fill it up. Exhale, feel it pushing out. You want to feel that. You really want to feel that. Inhaling up, pushing out. Another very important note here is that the shoulder blade, of course, we always say this, disappears into the upper back. So that this is also one of those moments where you get to train this very subtle, very powerful move. Just this little mechanic can mean the difference between a knockout and someone, just taking your punch. And what I mean by that is not to say that if you get this posture and move the shoulder blade and disappear into the back, that you're going to start knocking people out. A lot of things have to happen for that to work, including your aim, your time, etc. But what I'm getting at is that you have that much more power that you can utilize by these few inches. 1, 2, maybe there's an 1.5 to 2 inches that I'm getting personally in my body when I push beyond, allow the scapula to disappear to the upper back. And again, in Tai Chi, this is called opening the valve, which helps to accelerate circulation. So we're slowing ourselves down, but we want to have the smoothest, and the smoothest is going to speed up the circulation here. So inhaling up, you have the smoothest circulation to the limbs. Helps with the breath visualization, the breath work, the visualization, and overall sensation that you'll get while doing this. Inhale out, exhale out. So there is a double time version of this. There's the variations that I was talking about before, which we won't do today. The palm, I don't, like I said, spend much time on this. But you could, and if you did, we'll just do it. Inhaling up, exhale, pushing the palm, eye on the middle finger. If you do choose to do this, note that the heel of the palm is aligned with the shoulder as well. So rather than the wrist being aligned with the shoulder, the heel of the palm is aligned with the shoulder. So essentially, the end of the bone is going to stay in a similar position, regardless if you have the palm facing you or not. And of course, every little detail variation has health benefits as well. So I often talk about these things from the martial side rather than the health side. And I absolutely want to learn more on the health side as well. I've been instructed in all of these with a balance of both the health and the martial. But there's always going to be every little change you make is going to help turn the meridians and essentially help to give you that much more of a unique benefit versus another way. So all these variations have that. So eye and the middle finger coming down, inhaling up, exhaling out. So notice as you go from heart to turning the palm, showing it like a mirror. Inhale, drawing in. And also notice that you're not doing the wave here anymore. So the hand's going out and coming right back up. So additionally, here, this sensation, the good thing about, well, this is a great exercise no matter what, but an advantage of doing this version is the extra emphasis on the sensation of the palm. When you inhale, it's not a pull down, it's a guided fall. And this is a really important concept to grasp in Tai Chi, the sense of the guided fall. In other words, you're allowing the hand to be pulled by gravity downward, but you're just guiding it slightly. Simultaneously, you're using the breath and the breath visualization, even more importantly, to catalyze the allowance of the hand falling. So here, my breath starts to pull and I start to allow the hand to fall, but I'm guiding it downward, guiding it right down, coming up. And we do so many of these in push hands in terms of guided drops, being able to drop someone's hand in a particular angle, because that's going to pull the arm. The arm's going to pull the waist, and then you're going to get a particular angle on their body. So really being able to respect the power of this moment. So this is a variation. But now let's go back to the way we were doing it before, and maybe go from inside to out this time. I often use this moment here, full extension, and then this moment to start my breath. So I oftentimes will have a stage 1, stage 2, very short stage 1, stage 2. And again, you differentiate stage 1 and stage 2 in the mind because the stage 2 of the inhalation is stronger than stage 1. So you may stage 1 get into a position, stage 2 strike really, really quickly. So it could be an inhalation and an exhalation on one, or you could be inhaling and even stronger inhalation for the punch, because that's a reverse breathing mechanic, to inhale on the exertion rather than to exhale. So inhaling 1, inhaling 2, if you want to combine the traditional style with the less common reverse breathing. So inhaling 1, inhaling 2. And you'll notice that when you do it overtly, which you want to make the circles small, so you don't want to make it that overt, but in the beginning, it's sometimes fun too to feel those wonderful small circles here. And there's not too much work being done on the waist at all. As a matter of fact, the hips and shoulders, for the most part, remain square forward. But you do have the work in the shoulder blade, the scapula disappearing into the back, and that is, if you have a chain let's visualize this for a second. The exhalation and the color moving through. The color moving through the shoulder blade area before it gets to the shoulder itself and goes down the arm should activate that shoulder blade going forward. And again, my other shoulder is not moving at all. So it is staying still. Boom, here. It goes forward. So to a certain extent, it's a rolling, cascading breath. The breath is going up. When it combined with the visualization, it's activating different parts of the body in a whip motion. It's a snapping whip left and right. Being able to snap it left and right, just like you're throwing punches, similar way. So, but now we're going to go to the continuous breath variation. So this is pretty much the final stage of this exercise. Again, through my experience. And this continuous breath is going to have an inhalation and an exhalation. Not at the same time, you know, I've heard of wonderful people that can do that. But you're going to inhale, constantly moving. So you can have, and even this one I would break down to two versions. One, you can just have it going a little bit faster and smoother. Notice that one hand keeps on moving. And you can keep the breath the same, except keeping one hand moving. Or you can really allow yourself to have an inhalation and exhalation. So inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. So notice that I'm doing both at the same time. So the breath doesn't, at this point, you want to get into your zone before attempting this version, because you want to be so connected to the rhythm of how you're choosing to breathe. Again, the standard of what we're doing right now is exhaling on the exertion or the release of the limb. Inhale to draw the limb back up, exhale, release. And if you want to stand on the inhalation, sink on the exhalation. Again, in the beginning, this is very helpful. But once you start going into the continuous pattern, that's when I personally have to be in much deeper zone with this exercise. And when I say deeper zone, all that really means is that I have to spend more, a few extra minutes doing it so that I really get the softness and the full extension. In other words, reaching through the curve, which is a concept we often talk about, meaning that you're never straightening and locking your arm. You're always keeping that gentle curve in the elbow, the gentle curve here. None of these are rigid, hard shapes, but you extend all the way through the curve. So the curve keeps on going rather than the straight extension. The curve keeps on going. And you can do this with your entire body, obviously. Boom, we've done this other exercises where the curve keeps on going and you fill space with these shapes that you create. It makes you very heavy, it makes you take over space in an incredibly dominant way when you're playing push hands. But back to this. So I'm inhaling on some, exhaling on others. Meaning that I've essentially double timed my breath. So that one push is an inhalation, one push is an exhalation. Which obviously changes what's happening here. So now we're starting to bridge the traditional Tai Chi breath work with the reverse breathing breath work, which is really, really interesting. And this is, this was probably one of my first experiences with what I now know to be reverse breathing versus years later learning it from Grandmaster William C.C. Chen, whose Yang form is all reverse breathing, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. So the reverse breathing is really, really powerful. The concepts behind it are also powerful. I will say that this exercise, even though you do have the inhalation, it doesn't have the same body mechanics as the of William Chen's reverse breathing. His reverse breathing body mechanics include inflating muscles, the concept of inflating muscles. The same way that we're inflating the belly with the color visualization, you inflate muscles with the color visualization. It's an amazing experience. It's an amazing form to do, and it's took my push hands game to a completely new level because of that breath work. This is not that. This is inhaling and doing your best to continue to adhere to the concepts of the Wu style, which are arms like blades. So the Wu style has middle finger to elbow. This is a blade. And you're constantly inserting these blades. Even when you have this posture, you still have the elbow down, the arms like blades. When we talk about these three sections, the shoulder alignment and the center line, and you're chopping the hands on these lines, again, arms like blades right down those lines, which would be very, very different than, let's say, William Chen's reverse breathing yang style, where you have the inflation and it's less rigid, quote unquote, in terms of visualization structure. That's not to say that it's not very sneaky, very powerful, and very explosive, because it is. But the lines in Wu style, through my experience, are very precise. So here, your double-timed inhalation and exhalation, double-timed breathing, I recommend when you're inhaling here to almost feel like the wrist is being pulled, because it might feel awkward. In my experience, it does feel awkward before I learned the reverse breathing, to breathe, to inhale on the exertion. Again, to inhale on the punch. It is an odd feeling if you're used to exhaling on the punch. So I would say here, one of the concepts from reverse breathing is the concept of the tip of the finger being pulled, or the tip of the limb, whichever the striking tip is pulled to a destination. So I do recommend that. And then exhaling down, feeling the weight, rather than inhaling as we were doing before, exhaling and feeling the weight. So now you're pushing the breath work through the fingertips on the exhalation, rather than pulling the breath work in. Again, this is for the double-timed breathing. So exhale, feeling it pull down, and inhaling, feeling it pull out. So I only just reverse the breathing here. Now we're going to double time it. And you'll know that you're doing double time when the hand is coming up as the other hand is out. And so as one hand goes down, the other hand's going out. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. So we'll be opposites. And if you want, you can always reverse it. In other words, just change the pattern. So if you're exhaling on your left and inhaling on your right, just reverse it so you can feel the experience on the other side. And all you're changing is what you're assigning to which limb, inhalation or exhalation. So let's talk about the martial purpose, one of the wonderful values of this moment right here. This is one of the most important moments that I've learned in Tai Chi push hands and in martial arts and grappling as a whole. And there's another exercise that we'll do in a few weeks that's in the yin set, where the variation of it has the hand sliding across the chest. The hand sliding across the chest essentially helps you with pressure to remove an opponent's pressure that's directly on the body, and or to create a barrier between that pressure they're attempting to put on the body, and roll it off of you in very tight spaces. So the concept is, it is harder and more challenging, especially for the, yes, I would say harder. It is harder. It is different, but also harder than playing at long distance. So each one of these distances, all of them have their own advantages and disadvantages. So you want to be able to play and be comfortable at mid-range, at long range, and at close range, especially body to body. So being able to slide, if you have shoulder, if someone's, even if you're doing getting out of a choke, this concept of being able to get the hand up and to slide the hand into the space where someone's, potentially attempting to choke you. These are really, really important concepts for any grappling art and any person who's going to be playing with grappling. So this moment here, let's really slow it down again, bring it back to the original breathing. This moment here is you doing that, or should I say, this moment has an application, because there's infinite applications for these things for the most part, of you sliding pressure off your body, up your body and off your body. And I think one of the most important concepts to understand in Tai Chi is that, or in any martial art, any potentially even any competitive field, is that changing the opponent's expectation, even slightly, puts you at an advantage if it's intentional. So I'll say it again, changing the opponent's expectation and for a desired result, when done intentionally by you, puts you at an advantage. So if your opponent thinks they're going to hit you here or put pressure here, and you slide them up just slightly, you're changing what their desired goal was, even by a centimeter. Another concept is that if your opponent thinks they're going to hit you here, and you change the distance here to just a moment before, a fraction of an inch before, or slightly back, it changes their anticipation. Even subconsciously, we used to work on this in push hands with Coach Josh Waiskin. And one of the things that we would do, and I'll do this on another video, is something called a wave with the shoulders. So we would wave our shoulders when someone was going to do a double push on the shoulders. It was really, really amazing, and probably one of the most profound moments I've ever had in my Tai Chi life, is essentially applying that for the first time and having someone's hands, their body react to the change in position of my shoulders, which was only used to set up an arm drag. So we wave, arm drag, step around, and throw. And it was all one move, and getting a really clean, crazy clean execution of the arm drag turning into needle at the bottom of the C. And so right there. And so that arm drag just is really, really bad. But all of those concepts are packed into this moment, this really, really wonderful moment. Exhaling out, inhale. And that's part of the reason that the emphasis here on the elbow coming, staying down in the event that it starts to come up, or the shoulder, I have to constantly remind myself to soften and only focus on the breath lifting the wrists. Again, only focusing on the breath lifting the wrists, as if you have a pulley system associated with your hands and your lower down chin, your belly. So the breath lifts the wrist just like an uplifting heaven. In the beginning, the first moment of uplifting heaven that we did it as a warm-up has the breath lifting the wrists. And then we energize the fingertips. And so once you energize the fingertips, the color visualization in your mind should be pulling like a vacuum the color through the fingertips, as if each one of the fingertips is a vacuum. So the same thing happens, 1, 2, the same thing happens here. 1, fingertips vacuuming everything in, and then look at the wrists here coming up, exhaling out. Now the wrist is pulling up and I'm softening as the fingers are vacuuming. So now we have, this is more dynamic. And of course, these variations are really should be done at your own pace, meaning that don't do your stay away from this variation if you don't feel ready conceptually, because all of these concepts are weight. So you don't want to put weight on your dumbbells that you can't lift cleanly. So otherwise you'll be struggling with it and you'll be doing bad form, which will hurt you. So in the same way, you want to get the gains from this. You want to get the benefits from doing these exercises. So you'll know when it's time for you to experiment by essentially adding a new layer. And the muscle memory has to repeat it long enough for it to become, to a certain extent, second nature before you start to add other layers of dynamism. So we're going to start with version 1, inhaling up, exhale, inhaling up. And if you're really beginner, sink on the exhalation, inhale up. Even if you're an expert, I recommend starting with this. There are days, it's more rare these days, but there are days where I will do entire Neigong sets seated with no coming up for the pumping. But given my schedule, I often start with the pumping just to warm myself up. Again, you can do the variation, meaning the palm. When you do the palm, you're pushing the breath to the heel of the palm with the eye and the middle finger. And then pulling it back in, vacuuming out through the fingertips. And then, of course, starting to speed it up. And one more note before we start finishing our training for the day is that when you do speed it up, to feel the counter motion, one coming out as the other one. So really feel that counter snatch. And notice that there's a little less emphasis in terms of time on the pull-up here. So just do your best as time goes on to feel the difference and feel the moments for yourself, because the way that I was taught these exercises, you know, they're hundreds of years old, not more. They're really a container for something deeper. And I think that it's really important that as you start to train these exercises, that or if you're already very experienced and you are training these exercises, that there's always room for growth and there's always room for discovery, not only self-discovery, but the kind of discovery that you share, potentially even with me, writing a comment on YouTube saying, hey, Jan, you know, I found that when I do this part, I think about this, and this is really, really helpful, and this might have affected my push hands game or my grappling game or my life in general in a positive way. Those are the kind of things I'd love to hear about, because that actually, you know, makes everybody better, makes me better, makes the system better, makes you better. So please share if you have further insights on any of these exercises that I share on these videos. So, and that goes for everything across all my videos. There's nothing that I ever say is set in stone. And I'd also say that when I talk about competition and I talk about the importance of being able to have merit-based achievement, you know, I say that, hey, if, you know, the conversation of chi is one thing, the conversation of points in a let's say world-class setting is different. So, you know, I'm very adamant about having each aspect of this system in its own place and then integrating it rather than trying to say that this is that. The Qigong, the Neigong is not push hands. Push hands is its own system, it is a branch of Tai Chi, and you don't have to do the Tai Chi form to do push hands. The 16-time world champion, Chen Chen, last time I talked to him, hated his father's Tai Chi form. His dad is like a living treasure of China. You know, he's like huge deal. So, you know, his father's form is wonderful. I'll put out the video on his dad's form. Not this year, but we have it, and I will put it out. I still have another like 20 hours of content in a in a box waiting for you guys. But that being said, let's finish up with a couple of Uplifting Heavens. Exhaling down. My point is that you don't need to do any particular aspect of the Tai Chi system to be experiencing Tai Chi. So you can experience Tai Chi through push hands, but you may not necessarily get the circulation benefits of the Neigong or the Qigong or the form itself. So, and that's okay, because maybe that's not something you're looking for. But whatever you're looking for, Tai Chi has it. And there's a full system that if you want to experience that as well. I'm always happy to hear from people who are experiencing it and sharing. You know, fingers back, chest up, hips forward, weight on toes, exhale, butt back fingers. Inhale, yeah. Fingers back, chest up, hips forward, weight on toes, exhale. Inhale, yeah. Fingers back, chest up, hips forward. Inhale, yeah. Put one foot forward with the toe facing up. So toe stays up. Weight stays on the back leg almost entirely. Inhale, breath into the belly. Another little note on this inhalation, when you draw the breath into the belly, you want to feel, or at the very least, allow your attention to expand, your awareness to expand to the softness, this inside soft part of your legs, the inside soft part of the arms, meaning not the hard part on the top, but the soft part on the inside. When you do this inhalation here, you want to feel, just allow your awareness to be aware of those parts of your body, so that when you draw the color visualization in, then it almost feels like it's coming from all of those parts of your body and centralizing into the lower dantian. So as you draw the color in, you feel all of it on the soft part, and then you push it down the leg. Hold, 1, 2, exhale, inhaling up. And just so you can see on the other side, feeling it. And from a stance position, my back leg is facing forward. So I'm doing my best to keep my feet parallel. Exhale, wash right now. Hold the toe, inhale deep, exhale, inhaling up. So as you inhale up, you can start to soften the shoulders and roll them out so that it feels like you're filling up a bubble here. It's coming up, inhaling, the foot will be out 45 degrees, and exhale, wash down. Inhaling up, switching legs, and right after the switch, really fill the lungs up with air and see the color in the belly with the mind's eye, and exhale, wash down. Hold, 1, 2, inhaling up. Now the leg is at 90 degrees. Exhaling out, hold. 1, 2, inhaling up. Exhale down, hold. 1, 2. Inhaling up, stand. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale. And front. And down. One side. Over the shoulder. Back. Always always stretching, always massaging after Tai Chi, no matter what, it's always part of the process. And massage on the palms and tap 1, 2, 3. Thumb in the center of the palm, press, hold hard, and then drill 1, 2, 3, and then tap 1, 2, 3. Flick the fingers out, thumbs out, put the hands together. Up on the face and to the side, up and to the side, up and to the side. Massage the forehead, 1, 2, 3, in reverse. Fingers to the scalp, front to back, back to front, and massage. Massage the scalp by grabbing it and really stretch the skin, the muscle, and ideally the bones underneath through your visualization. Remember, every time you talk, the skull moves. All little bones move very, very subtly, but they move. So up the ear, over, down. Strong pressure for the immune system. The eyes, 1, 2, 3. The heart, and switch. Top and bottom, and switch. Sides. Under the gums, tongue, and reverse it. And flicking out. And let's just do the chest real quick. Inhale to the belly, exhale. Inhale to the belly, exhale, push the color through the palms, into the lungs, into the muscles, into all the pressure points tapping around, and then massage those pressure points. And then floating rib up, and then floating rib up. So you go from the bottom to the top. Close the eyes, inhale white light into the belly. And even when you do this, feel it as you inhale on the soft parts of the body, especially centralizing the lower dantian. Exhale, spread the color to the whole body. Inhale, roll from the feet to the head. Exhale, down, head to heels. Inhale, up, left to right. Left side, to the top of the head. Exhale, down, from the top of the head to the heels. Down the right side. Inhale, white line to the belly. So as you feel it filling the belly, feel it being pulled like a vacuum from all the soft parts of your belly, from your body into the belly. Exhale, push the color down the legs, into the ground. Let it come back up and around like a fountain in reverse, making a big bubble around you of white light. One more breath into the belly, white light. Exhale, push it to the top of the head, and go out and around you like a bubble, like a big bubble around you like a fountain. Just have gratitude for the body, the good people in your life, and the space that you're in. Thank you guys so much. As usual, to clarify one more thing, I want to say I felt a little adamant about beat me earlier. That's not me saying that I am unbeatable. It's that I've met many people who attempt to take the principles of Tai Chi and to say that you are or are not doing Tai Chi based on how you perform in a particular tournament. So I've experienced people directly saying that even though I won, I'm not doing Tai Chi. And that to me is one of the biggest problems with the Tai Chi community, is that people believe that Tai Chi is something special and that it is elite, and that only certain people who are essentially good enough know it. And that's a huge problem, because then people don't necessarily get the access to what's inside the container of Tai Chi as a system. And so I feel very, very fortunate to have had a great coach like Josh Waitzkin and Dan Caulfield as the assistant coach, who are like big bros to me, talk about how these systems, how these ideas are in every system. And it really just takes the individual to essentially slow yourself down to speed up your perception. Tai Chi has a wonderful, the wonderful gift of combining breath work, visualization, and body mechanics that other systems have in them, but may not necessarily do it as emphasized as in Tai Chi. So I do believe that the merit-based achievement arenas, such as competition, or such as, hey, here are the rules, win, that is a great way. And I can't think of a better way to test your Tai Chi principles or your skill set in anything outside going into a competition. Because not to say that you should stay in the athletic mindset your whole life, because that's not sustainable, but to be able to use competition as a litmus test of your belief system and to make changes based on the result is a scientific process. And that's something that I think is really, really needed in the Tai Chi community. And so if you ever hear me saying, you gotta beat me, it's not because I think I'm unbeatable. It's really more so because I've just experienced a lot of folks from the Tai Chi world that are attempting to preach principle rather than practicality, show practicality. So I'm all about showing the practicality. If it doesn't work and it's not repeatable, it's not competition worthy, and it's probably something you should question whether or not it goes into your form. Because if you can't do it in competition on call, you may not be able to do it in real life on call. And Tai Chi is really about redirecting pressure on a level. So you want to be able to redirect pressure towards your goals in every aspect of your life. So with that said, this is Tai Chi to the people from Justice for Hire, the wonderful series that we are producing with the community worldwide, where anybody can join the cast. You can go to justiceforhire.app right now and make a show with the community. And every week we dedicate our training to a different charity. And this week is Meals for Unity, at Meals for Unity on Instagram. You go to the at Justice for Hire Instagram, and you'll see the ability to donate right on top. So if you like what we're doing, there's never we're never charging for this stuff. This is all for the people. We want you to take it and go and do good things with it. But if you feel like donating, donate to them directly at Meals for Charity, Meals for Unity, because they do great work, and that's what we're all about. So love you guys, and I'm going to press stop, and always reach out with any questions you might have.